I've been so inspired by uh, Bobby's willingness to go and partner with Trump, and then Tulsi doing the same thing, and then Elon Musk doing the same thing, and Catherine Austin Fitts doing the same thing. I mean, this is like a dream come true for me. It's again in the transition stage to a fully voluntary society. I barely would dare to imagine a dream team at all, much less a dream team that might, within a few months, actually have tremendous power in the world to be effective with what they know is needed. So this has got me going. So I started making some notes, and Kimberly asked me what I was doing as we were getting ready for bed one night, and I said, "Oh yeah, I'm designing my dream team." And she said, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "Well, you know, I if I could influence the transition team to get the right people in Trump's cabinet, who would they be?" And she said, "Well, Bobby is on his transition team." So all of a sudden it became, a much more potentially realistic fantasy effort that we were doing. So what I want to do is share with you some of my thinking so far, because I really respect the intelligence and just the savvy of this group. So I want to trigger your mind in this direction as well, and then have some people come on if you want, if we have time to do another breakout group where you share this. We'll see if that's an effective way to do it or not. But let me share with you. Okay, so can you see this? Trump's cabinet dream team. My number one thing, which I plan on communicating with Bobby or having Kimberly do it, is no one from the Trilateral Commission or the CFR. That's the mistake that every single president since World War II has made, either consciously or unconsciously, including Trump. Okay, so you can see I've got RFK Jr. here as the head of HHS, which is Health and Human Services. My understanding is that's the role that he would like to have, because the main thing he wants to do is take on health, and that's the most powerful position in government from which to do that. There's a lot of people like Pierre Corey, like Robert Malone, like Peter McCullough. I've got Naomi Wolf on here. There's just a ton of holistic doctors who have proven themselves to be knowledgeable and courageous that could really assist him in that effort. So he's kind of an obvious one. It's not a cabinet position, but I gather that Trump has already assured Elon Musk that if he's elected, that Trump will bring Musk on as like the efficiency czar, for him to do the same thing for government that he did for Twitter, which is something along the line of firing 70% of the people, seeing if anyone else is needed at all, and then making sure that the people are actually doing their jobs. And that would go hand in hand with what Bobby would do with healthcare, of getting rid of all this corporate capture of the different agencies and so forth. Okay, Attorney General Jim Jordan is a lawyer, a former champion wrestler. He's just been the main bulldog behind most of the best congressional hearings for the last couple of years. I think he's someone who could pull that off. Secretary of State, I'm hoping you're familiar with Jeffrey Sachs. I was not an admirer of Jeffrey Sachs until about 2 years ago. In fact, I was a detractor of Jeffrey Sachs because I knew he was a high-level macroeconomist working for a lot of different national leaders, working high level in the UN. And as far as I was concerned, he was brilliant and oblivious, and just really dangerous because he had no idea what was really going on. Well, he's been waking up over the last couple of years, and he's done great interviews with one with Tucker Carlson and I highly recommend that you look that one up. I think he did one with Joe Rogan. He's done a bunch of them. And he really knows the players. And now that he, like Joe Rogan, Glenn Greenwald, Russell Brand, and Tucker Carlson, now that he's looking through this new lens, he is recasting the history that he knows through the lens of the global domination agenda in super effective ways. So I think he would make a terrific Secretary of State because he really is anti-war, but he can back it up. He knows, how all this stuff works. Okay, then Secretary of Defense, obviously they would need to be working well together. My nominee would be Tulsi Gabbard, because she's also knows about defense, has willing to be a soldier. But once she woke up, she has been a whistleblower in the anti-war realm. And she's already, aligned with the Trump administration. Treasury, probably Catherine Austin Fitts. She was formerly the Undersecretary of Housing Urban Development. So when she started realizing what was really going on and blowing the whistle, if you remember from Thrive 1, they dragged her through the courts for 10 years, broke her financially. She was worth over $250 million. They broke her completely financially and then acquitted her. But it didn't deter her at all. It only increased her backbone. And she really knows finance. She was offered a position at one point, I think it was probably when they were trying to bribe her off. They offered a position on the board of the Federal Reserve. and she said, "You got to be kidding." And so anyway, I think she would make a fabulous Secretary of Treasury. The National Security Agency, either Dan Bongino or Mike Pence. Mike Pence is the guy who's been informing both Tucker and Joe Rogan about how the whole security state really works. And Dan Bongino, used to have his own show on Fox. He's a former cop who then was in the Secret Service for 10 years and has just been blowing the whistle on all that kind of stuff. And so I think they would do great in really doing national security. I have Catherine down here as potentially housing and urban development because they wouldn't let her do it the first time. But in one of those roles, in terms of energy, either Alex Epstein or Thomas Massie. Thomas Massie he's one of the 2 or 3 best people we have in Congress. And he's completely honest. He's absolutely brilliant. He's, kind of came from nothing, got a scholarship to MIT and then became an engineer. And he's very savvy on energy. I don't know how much he knows about free energy or new energy, but I think he'd be great because he's got so much character. And then Alex Epstein is the most knowledgeable person on the critical nature of fossil fuels for civilization, particularly in developing in third world countries, until we're actually allowed to have free energy devices on a mass scale. So they would be my nominees for that. For Secretary of Agriculture, I'm proposing Nicole Shanahan, who was his, a vice presidential nominee, but she's very savvy on health and organic food and women's health, that type of stuff. So she would be a good one. Another really good one would be Joel Salatin, who's a national level expert in permaculture, organic growing, as is Alan Savory. I think Joel would be probably my number one, but anyway, that'll get the conversation started. In terms of commerce, I think Vivek Ramaswamy would be a fantastic Secretary of Commerce because he just knows business. He's a very successful business guy. He's also a free market economist. So to have someone as a Secretary of Commerce who is adamant about having a free market of voluntary exchange would be humanity saving. And then I was trying to think in terms of media, because I think Tucker Carlson would be great in some role. Carrie Lake, Dave Rubin, Candace Owens, Ron Johnson. They're all, no, Ron Johnson would be DHS. But in terms of press, I guess they don't really have a cabinet thing. other than press secretary. So I think that Kari Lake or Tucker Carlson particularly they're both really savvy on media and really awake to what's going on. Candace Owens also is very awake and very completely courageous. So is Dave Rubin, but they're less informed about what's really going on. Department of Homeland Security, I think that Ron Johnson would be great and could work really well with Dan Bongino or Mike Pence on the whole security thing. I haven't thought of anyone for labor, education, transportation, veterans affairs, and I think there should be a cabinet position on efficiency. I think there should also be a cabinet position on ethics. So I'd love to add that in. And then I was talking with one of our angel supporters over the couple of days ago. We do these periodic angel calls, and she was suggesting that, because I was talking about this with her, and she was suggesting, this all sounds great, but she would add in, and I think it's a terrific idea, that all of these people be in charge of their cabinet positions, their government departments for 4 years, and that their end goal is at the end of those 4 years, collapse the department. And so you don't have, it's the same way that Javier Milei is down in Argentina, is just getting rid of all these unnecessary departments, which have captured education, transportation, energy, all that kind of stuff. Give each of these people 4 years to educate everybody, find out who the real leaders are, get great policies in place, and then get rid of the government control at all. So that's kind of my roster.